Your ancestors spent 400 million years building you a skeleton, bones on the inside, skin on the outside, a skull wrapped around the one organ you genuinely cannot replace. It is good work. It is sensible. You are, structurally speaking, a well-defended animal, and you have never once had to think about it. Now let me show you something that looked at all of that and threw it in the bin. This is a nudibranch, a sea slug, and I want you to understand what it actually is, because slug is doing a lot of work to hide the crime here. This animal is a snail, a real one. Its ancestors had a shell, its babies still grow a shell, and then at some point early in life, it gets rid of it. The shell goes, the armor goes. The name of the entire group means naked gill because it does not even keep its gills on the inside. It wears them on its back in the open like a decoration. So take stock of what we are dealing with. No shell, no bones, no claws, no teeth worth the name. It is slow, and I mean genuinely embarrassingly slow, and it is basically blind. Its eyes are little pigment cups that can tell you the sun is out and almost nothing else. And then, having removed every single form of protection it had, it decided to be neon, bright orange, electric blue, hot pink with white spots. This animal is soft, defenseless, unarmed, cannot run, cannot see, and it is walking around the reef dressed like a warning sign. You would be dead in an hour. So how is this thing not extinct? Because it is armed. It is extremely armed. It is just not armed with anything that belongs to it. Let me explain the weapon it is stealing first, because you need to respect the weapon before you can appreciate the theft. Jellyfish, anemones, hydroids, the Portuguese man-o'-war. All of them fight using stinging cells, and a stinging cell is not a blob of poison. It is a single cell with a coiled harpoon inside it, wound up under enormous pressure, waiting. Touch it, and it fires. And when I say fires, I need you to sit with the numbers, because this is one of the fastest things biology has ever built. The harpoon launches in about 700 nanoseconds. Not 700 milliseconds, nanoseconds, and it accelerates at millions of times the force of gravity. Your reflexes take about a fifth of a second. A stinging cell finishes the entire job roughly 300,000 times faster than you can begin to flinch. There is no reacting to that, it has already happened. So that is the weapon, millions of them, lining the tentacles of an animal that hunts fish for a living. And the sea slug eats it, not around it, not by avoiding the tentacles. It crawls up an animal made of loaded harpoons, and it eats the harpoons, and they do not go off. That is the first impossible thing, and I want to be honest with you about it because most videos on this animal will lie to you here. They will explain, very confidently, exactly how it does this. We do not actually know. We have ideas. A tougher gut lining, a protective coat of mucus, the idea that it picks out the immature stinging cells, the ones not fully loaded yet. It is probably some combination, but the honest answer in 2026 is that an animal with no brain to speak of routinely swallows live ammunition without detonating it, and the scientists studying it are still arguing about the trick. It has been doing this the entire time we have been failing to explain it. And here is where the theft turns into something worse. The stinging cells go down into its gut, and instead of being digested, they get moved. The slug carries them, still loaded, still live, up through its own body and out into those finger-shaped things all over its back. Those are called serrata, and at the tip of every single one of them is a sac. That sac is a magazine. The stolen weapons go in the sac, tip first, pointing out, and they sit there, live, aimed at the world, in the skin of an animal that did not build a single one of them. So now, touch it. Some fish comes along and sees a soft, slow, defenseless, unarmed slug covered in delicious-looking frills. It takes a bite, and it gets a mouthful of jellyfish. The slug does not aim. I want to be exact, because this is not a gunfighter. It does not target anything. It just made its own back into a landmine, and then went about its day. The weapon does the rest. That is somehow more insulting. The technical name for this is kleptocnidae, which translates roughly to stolen stingers. That is not me being funny. That is the actual scientific term. A biologist looked at this behavior, and the word he reached for was theft, and it gets greedier. There is a nudibranch called the blue dragon. It is about the size of your thumb. It floats upside down at the surface of the open ocean, holding itself up with a bubble of gas it swallowed on purpose, which is already an unhinged way to exist. And it hunts the Portuguese man-o'-war. That is the thing that closes beaches. That is a floating colony of venom that people are hospitalized by every summer, and this 3-centimeter slug drifts up to it and starts eating it, and as it does, it sorts through the stinging cells and keeps the worst ones, the most potent ammunition in the animal. It concentrates them, which means a blue dragon can sting you harder than the man-o'-war it robbed. Read that again. It stole the weapon, and then it improved on it. The victim of this crime is one of the most feared animals in the open ocean, and the thief is a slug the length of your thumbnail. By the way, if you are enjoying watching a blind, boneless, unarmed animal mug a jellyfish, subscribe. The slug did not build a single thing in this video, and it is still winning. You could learn from that, honestly. Now, you might be thinking that stealing weapons is one specific trick, and that this animal got lucky with one good idea. No, theft is the entire personality. There is a sea slug, a cousin of the nudibranch, that does not steal weapons. It steals a power plant. It is called Elysia, and I need to be precise here, because everyone gets this wrong. It is not a nudibranch. It is a different kind of sea slug, and if you see a video calling the green solar one a nudibranch, that video did not read anything. Here is what Elysia does. It eats algae, but it does not digest all of it. It punctures the algal cell, sucks out the contents, and it specifically keeps the chloroplasts. The little green machines that plants use to turn sunlight into food. It keeps them alive, inside its own body, in the lining of its gut, and then it goes and sits in the sun. It photosynthesizes. It is an animal running on light. It can survive for months without eating anything at all, because it robbed a plant of the one organ that matters, and installed it in itself. That is called kleptoplasty, stolen plastids. Notice that the scientists had to invent a second word for stealing because the first word for stealing was already being used by these animals for a different kind of stealing. And the ones that do not eat cnidarians, the ones that eat sponges, they steal the sponge's chemistry. Sponges are full of nasty defensive toxins, and the slug takes those toxins, keeps them, and puts them in its own skin. Some of these compounds are now being seriously studied for cancer research, which means we are currently going to the ocean, finding a slug, and asking it what it stole recently. And that neon paint job finally makes sense. It is not decoration, it is a label. It says, "I ate something that could hurt you, and I still have it." Now let me tell you about their sex lives, because it is genuinely one of the strangest things in the ocean, and I refuse to leave it out. Every nudibranch is both sexes at once. Fully male, fully female, simultaneously. When two of them meet, they mate reciprocally, and they both leave pregnant. Nobody is the mother. Everybody is the mother. And one species, Chromodorus reticulata, does something so aggressive I had to check it 3 times. After mating, it discards its penis. It just detaches it and abandons it there, and then it grows a new one. It has a coiled reserve of spare penis inside its body, and it can deploy a fresh one and go again within about 24 hours. I have no joke for that. The slug already made it, so let us total this up. It threw away its shell. It threw away its bones. It cannot run. It cannot fight. It cannot even really see. It has no venom of its own, no toxins of its own, and no weapons of its own. And it survives by taking everything it needs from things that were actively trying to kill it. It eats the harpoon and keeps the harpoon. It eats the plant and keeps the engine. It eats the poison and keeps the poison. Its entire body is a lost and found for other animals' best ideas. But here is the part that actually gets me, and it is the reason I wanted to make this video. The slug cannot see itself. It is functionally blind. Those colors, the electric blue, the burning orange, the white-spotted pink, the most beautiful animal on the entire reef, and it has never once seen a single one of them. It does not know it is beautiful. It does not know it is a warning. It just is. All that color is not for the slug. It is for everyone else. It is a message written on an animal that cannot read it, saying one thing over and over to anything that comes close. I took something from something worse than you, and I still have it, so you sit there with your skeleton and your good eyes and your one boring set of weapons that you grew yourself, and somewhere out on a reef right now, a blind, unarmed, shellless lump of nothing is wearing a jellyfish's guns on its back and running on stolen sunlight. It never invented anything. It just refused to pay for anything either. If you like animals that win without ever building the weapon, subscribe. They get worse from here.